Happy.
Excellent. Welcome everybody, by the way, to the Wednesday class that shall not be named. And Dave was just talking about a wedding he went to, which is amazing. Are you still there, David? Did I lose you?
I'm here.
Are you there, David? Did I lose you?
Can you hear me, Rabbi?
Mm-hmm. I hear you. David got knocked off somehow.
Yeah, I don't see my picture on the screen either.
Welcome back.
Oh, there I
There you
am.
go, Ron. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
David, are you back?
Well, there's Ava. Good morning,
Hey.
Ava. Good morning.
So, hi everyone. It's just you and us.
And Michael.
No, we got David on. We got two Davids on, and Michael and Arlene.
Okay. Well,
I'm here
Great.
too.
Paul is here too.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello,
Paul. Good
Paul.
morning. And we're gonna probably have a shorter class today. I'm a little under the weather. I wanted to make sure to still do some of it because it's really cool stuff. I hope everybody is ready for a great forum coming up. There's tons of stuff here going on for forum. All right. Welcome again. I know Lou is in Florida.
Ooh.
And she went to see, I think, Mandy Patinkin last night, which is amazing. I keep hearing how amazing he is in concerts. Amazing. I keep hearing how amazing he is in concerts. Amazing. I keep hearing how amazing he is in concerts. Amazing. I keep hearing how amazing he is in concerts. Amazing. I keep hearing how amazing. Some feedback here.
David, I think you have two devices going and that's what's causing the noise, maybe.
I'll just put
Hello, Karen.
Hi, Ron.
maybe I just put David on mute the second.
Jeff Glazer, good to see you.
Good
Good to
morning.
see you, Jeff.
I actually
Nice.
remembered this week.
You actually what?
Yeah.
You remembered?
Remembered.
I'll call you and remind you or text you or something. It's good to see you.
See you all. We're gonna go ahead and start. Let me do a little quicker meeting because I'm a little under the weather, so I'm not blowing my voice. So we've talked about tons of Israeli leaders. So again, we'll continue that today. Again, welcome to Ron and Arlene and David and Eva and Paul and Michael and Karen and Jeff and everybody watching on YouTube.
Stuart will
And
be
welcome
here.
Stuart in a minute.
Flossie is somewhere here.
She's coming in.
And Flossie as well.
Whoops.
And so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some Israeli prime ministers who are not as famous as some of the ones we talked about, Golda Meir, David Ben-Gurion, Menachem Begin, who were the prime ministers in the 80s and 90s. That's what we'll talk a little bit about. And we're not going to talk about Yitzhak Rabin yet. We're going to talk about Yitzhak Shamir, Shimon Peres, and Ariel Sharon. So all of them have had impacts on Israel. They've all weathered a variety of storms that they've done. And so we'll talk about Yitzhak Shamir first. I think everybody's probably heard of him. He's the 7th prime minister of the country. And if you didn't know who he was, he, like most of the great Israeli leaders, was born in Eastern Europe. And he was, in fact, born in Poland, I believed. Went to Warsaw, studied law. We've heard others who did that, and moved to Palestine in 1935. And he was a radical leader akin to Begin. So he actually, after Stern died, Abraham Stern died, he led the Stern Gang, or the Lehi, which was a military break off from the Irgun. So he's a very radical paramilitary guy who grew up with this idea that he would join the Israeli support. He was in Beitar, which we talked about as a youth group. And he was very young when he moved to Israel. He was only 20. And he right away went into the Irgun, led by Menachem Begin. When World War II was coming around, he was very radical in terms of not needing to support Britain. And he would become part of course, the Israeli leadership as time went on. So he would become first the head of Lehi, which was a radical group that would not shy away from assassinations. They were too radical in many ways for the. Can you hear my son back there, or is it nobody can hear him? No. Okay, good. He was too radical. So broke off from the Irgun, helped run the Stern Gang, which was Lehi. And he would be one of the Lehi leaders for many years. Again, one of these Israelis who looked to Ireland and Michael Collins. We've heard that before. And his parents and family died in the Holocaust. And he was arrested many times by the British. So he was arrested several times. He was arrested, sent to jail or exile. He would escape and then come back to Israel. So he was arrested, sent into exile, escaped several times, rearrested, but kept being able to make it back to Israel. And of course, sorry, my son is freaking out a little bit. So, and during the 1948 war, he of course participated and was unfortunately part of the Deir Yassin massacre, where Palestinian villagers were killed, and it became a little bit of a stain on him. But as time went on, he was able to overcome this stigma, and he became very important to Israeli history. So he would become very well known for helping to organize Mossad. He ran Mossad in terms of organizationally what they did. He created divisions with the Mossad, and he was really a very prominent Mossad leader. And he actually resigned because the head of Mossad was under attack politically. Sorry. He eventually went and joined the Herut party, which was Menachem Begin's party. And he became part of the Knesset in 1973, so very later on. So he was not, most of these guys became part of Knesset in the 50s, but he was not a member until the 70s. And he, of course, because he joined in 73, and of course, we all know Menachem Begin became prime minister in 1977. So he became foreign minister. And then he got, he was a hardliner, and he was not necessarily in support with the peace process with Egypt, but he did participate in it. I think he was the lone person to not vote for it, or one of the few people who didn't vote for the Camp David Accords. He then would eventually become the leader of Herut, which is what we call the Likud. And when Begin stepped down, he ran against Ariel Sharon, and he became the head of Likud. And the problem was, nobody in 1984 really won enough to form a government. So something really strange happened. You probably remember this. Shimon Peres was the head of Labor, and Shamir was the head of Likud, and they decided to share the prime ministership, which is a very rare thing in Israel. So Peres was prime minister from 84 to 86, and Shamir became prime minister after that. And then they switched, and Peres became foreign minister, which Shamir was foreign minister before. So he was prime minister of Israel during the Intifada when it started. So that was in the 1980s. And while he was prime minister, obviously things went awry because the Intifada was something they did not know what to do with. Because you had all these kids throwing stones, it became a whole movement. And that was one of the things they didn't know. What he did do, that was very, very impressive, is Soviet immigration to Israel was really what he centered his campaign on. Israel needed more people. And so he helped convince the US government not to allow Soviet Jews to immigrate to America, not to give them visas so they could come to Israel. So all of these Soviet Jews ended up going to Israel. And so it became a really big influx of people, the last great influx in Israel history. This group of, I don't know how many, maybe 1 million Russians moved there. So how many of you remember him, by the way? He also was very prominent in relations with Africa. And of course, he was the man who was prime minister when they airlifted the Ethiopian Jews during Operation Solomon and saving them. So he was a hardliner, but he really loved bringing people into the country. And so Yitzhak Shamir. Now, so in the 80s, he was prime minister, he was foreign minister. But then in 92, Yitzhak Rabin defeated him. And Yitzhak Rabin, of course, was the Labor Party. And he stepped down. He stepped down from leadership of Likud, but he continued to be part of the Knesset. So he also was not really him and Benjamin Netanyahu did not get along very well. So as long as Benjamin Netanyahu was head of the party, then he was not Michael.
Just a question. He defeated him. Do you know what the reasons were? Was it foreign policy, domestic policy, personality?
Yeah, well, a lot of it was, he was never super popular in terms of getting a massive number, but I think the Intifada was a big part of it because it was this handled so badly by Israel because they didn't know what to do. Now they could go to war, but dealing with all these, so Yitzhak Rabin came in with the idea of making some sort of peace. Yitzhak Rabin was very popular, even though he had to step down from being prime minister in the 70s because his wife had bank accounts in America. But at this time, the peace process was a real possibility. And Shamir was not seen as somebody who really wanted to enter into it. Of course, he died a few years later. Well, not a few years. He died in 2004, I think, of Alzheimer's. But so he's not, which he is certainly a famous politician.
Yeah,
You guys want to say hi to my son?
Daddy,
Yeah,
Hi.
Daddy.
he's sick too. Yes.
He looks
You
like.
say hi to everybody.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm feeling quite bad. He's getting better. I'm getting worse. So, but he is also super cute.
Yes.
Are you up to this, Rabbi? You sound,
I think I'm feeling pretty terrible, but I want to. So I think we'll maybe stop here because I'm losing my voice. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to.
don't
And
make
next week
yourself,
we'll do
No,
Ariel
no,
Sharon.
no worries.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
week we'll do Ariel Sharon and Shimon Peres. Obviously, Shimon Peres, I think everybody knows. He is the longest serving Knesset member in Israeli history, and he was president. And Ariel Sharon, of course, was kind of like George Patton, Israel's Patton, like a very impressive military strategist, but also a personality that got him in a lot of trouble and did things he shouldn't have probably done. And but in Israel, everybody makes a comeback. Yitzhak Rabin, nobody thought he would be prime minister again. Nobody ever thought Sharon would become prime minister, and he became prime minister. Yitzhak Shamir, nobody thought. Shimon Peres, probably they thought he was going to be prime minister more, but he was prime minister for short periods. So we'll talk about them next week. Thanks, guys, for understanding.
yeah, feel better,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
better.
please. Please feel
And my
better.
son, and if you guys remember anything, my son is super cute.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
looks
Thanks,
Guys, we'll see you
Rabbi.
later. Thanks for understanding. So we'll continue next week.
Okay,
Bye.
feel better. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay,
Feel
bye-bye.
better, Rabbi. Feel better.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I feel really bad.
Chicken
Stay
soup.
safe, everybody. Chicken
Rabbi,
soup. That's
Rabbi, can I speak with you just for a minute afterwards? Because
Okay.
I'm going to send you something, and I just want everybody to know that Hadassah is the Hadassah here on Hilton Head is going to have the ADL speaker from Charleston coming
great. When is that?
on April 3rd, I believe. Was it April 3rd? Did I tell you, Blas?
Yeah, April 3rd or 4th. Yeah, somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
let us know because we make sure to
Right.
get people
Anyway,
to go there.
I have a flyer that I'm sending to you, if that's okay.
Okay, great.
And
Absolutely.
will you be able to post it and give it to
Oh, yeah.
whoever?
Yeah, just send me the
No.
flyer. We'll do all that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that
And
up.
it's
It's so
free,
important.
so please come.
Oh, it's free, even better.
Right.
All right. Stay safe, everybody.